Good morning, colleagues. The Senate Finance Committee is now in session for our voting list on list number 2. And okay, David is going first with his bills. And if it's okay with you guys, unless something gets to be very contentious, if we can follow just the hand raising, I think that's the quickest way for us to try to get through this and everybody can see and the public can even see what we're doing. Okay.
Okay. So the first bill on your list is Senate Bill 12. This was heard last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. It's a bill that was in the committee before, and it did pass the Finance Committee 11-0 last session, and it didn't quite make it to third reader because of why. The bill removes the Inspector General from under the Maryland Department of Health and makes it a separate entity. The Inspector General would be appointed by the Governor, the Treasurer, and the Attorney General, subject to approval by the Senate. It establishes detailed qualifications for the Inspector General, but it doesn't change any of the responsibilities of the Inspector General. All it does is move it makes it a separate office in state government.
Okay. If there's no discussion, are you ready for the vote? All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, it looks like it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Okay, and we'll move down to the list to Senate Bill 103. And this is a bill also that passed the Senate last year 45-0. It almost made it the third reader in the House, but again, you know what happened. It alters the definition of a pet store to include a broker, and a broker is somebody in the bill who transfers dogs or cats for resale. It also says you don't have to be open to the public, which was in the bill in legislation that was enacted in 2018. And it also repeals transitional language that was added in 2018 to the bill that basically said you couldn't sell dogs or cats at pet stores anymore. And again, it passed the Senate last session 45-0.
Yes.
I've got I was working with the department. I got a task force bill that I'm looking at. Can we hold it 1 week so I can at least see if I can get some amendments for the task force bill that I could possibly offer for this bill?
Well, let me ask you, say one other thing. This bill has had such a torturous route, and we found out from the Attorney General and from the City of Rockville that the main opposing witness perjured herself here. That's right. And there's so much going on. I'd like to move it if we could, considering all of this that has happened.
One hold that we're normally given in this committee so I can try to work. I've been working with this task force bill. Let me get some of those amendments, see if I can get them offered for this bill.
What is your pleasure?
Madam Chair, I would ask that we not hold the bill, that we do get it moving. It came so close and then ran out of time last year. We don't know what's going to happen with the virus in the legislature this year. The bill's been out there now for 12 months, and the opportunity to have had an amendment prepared for the bill for this point right here and now has existed for a full year. So I would ask that we please move forward. As you indicated, I pointed out at the bill hearing that the lead witness was, in fact, perjuring herself, and she did so on the record. And I think it's unprecedented for the Attorney General's office to then follow up and say, yeah, this is so egregious, we're going to call it out and point it out to the committee. Okay. But I would ask the committee that we please not delay this any further. As I said, there was a year to have prepared amendments for it, and the time now is to vote. Thank you.
Senator Benson and Senator Reedy.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. the lead person who spoke to this committee did not tell the truth. It was a problem with integrity, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering whether or not we should send her a strongly worded letter to let her know how displeased we are with the fact that she did not tell the truth to this committee.
Well, let me say this. The Attorney General is aware, the city of Rockville is aware. We don't know, but there may be some legal action. I think we should stick to the legislation. Okay, Senator Reedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I've been looking at this bill. This is a new issue for me. I actually have a couple of amendments we ordered yesterday because I didn't have a chance to do that until then. I'm a little bit concerned with basically just shutting all this down. I don't quite, and I know I'm new to the issue at this level, but there's some things I don't completely understand about why we can't have brokers that, if they're willing to go look with licensed breeders that are USDA licensed. I understand puppy mills. I voted to stop puppy mills. Those seemed really bad. And I did see the back and forth about one of the witnesses that apparently was not, at least in the view of the Attorney General, completely truthful. At the same time, sounded to me from the testimony like there was some dispute about the issue. So, I mean, I don't want to get into fighting out over that particular witness. But for me, I would appreciate a chance to have the amendments be drafted and offer them next week. And it's not a delaying tactic. I want to have a couple of amendment ideas I think might help us to really get to the heart of the issue and not completely put the last pet stores totally out of business in the state, especially currently with what's going on in our economy. So,
And I don't know if it would make a difference to you to know we got a separate letter from the city of Rockville accusing the same witness of perjury. But Senator Jennings, we don't want to stay on this forever.
Well, then let's hold it.
Let's take a vote on it.
Well, hold on. So first of all, we're saying she perjured herself. Was she sworn in to testify? I thought you had to be sworn in to testify to perjure yourself.
All I know is I got
which I'm not getting into that. But my issue is
one from the Attorney General and one from the city of Rockville.
this committee's always offered its members one hold on
But
bills.
we don't want. We will move on your request right now. Okay.
Like that. We've always offered committee members a hold one time.
Okay.
Senator Jennings, it's just in this case, I had already made the proper motion to move the bill and it was properly seconded before you asked us to hold it. And so it is a tradition in this committee to hold the bill at least on the first time, but when you verbalized it, it came too late as the bill was already proceeding. So, Madam Chair, there's already a motion and a second on the floor.
With all due respect, I don't think we've ever gone to that length of a proper motioning and seconding and not allowing a bill to be held. In fact, I think this is the proper time when it is done. Once you have some conversation about it, once you've talked about it, once something comes up, you may want to then at that point say, can we hold the bill to get further information? So I respect the first and seconding, but I think the holding is just a committee rule that we allow to happen at a certain time.
Mr. Yeah. Because we want to.
What I would offer is the following. This bill had extensive redrafting last session to accommodate everyone on this committee who had expressed a concern to address those concerns, and it came to the committee amended in a posture that it passed out of this committee unanimously last year. The notion that now we're going to turn it into a task force somehow, if we hold it another week, I would say is fiction, because it's either time to vote for the bill or oppose the bill and vote against it. But I can assure you, I will steadfastly oppose any amendments to this bill in response to my friend, the good Senator Reedy, about keeping the stores open here in Maryland. That ship sailed. We closed those stores in legislation 2 years ago and gave those stores 1 year to comply. Now, there are still some that are not complying, as we learned at the bill hearing and the woman who came in and lied to us at that hearing. But I think at this point, due to the extensive work that was done last year to accommodate everyone, and by the way, there were lots of folks who wanted to change the wording of the bill this year, and I said no. The bill will come back to the committee the way the committee passed it out last year. So I would ask that we please move on the bill. I don't want the clock to run out on it this year. I think you all understand my passion and commitment to this legislation, and I will vehemently oppose any amendments coming in.
All right.
And
Over here, the other one.
thank you.
All right, Senator Klossmeyer.
All I can say is I agree with you 100%. I will vote for the bill, but once we say we are not going to accept his hold, all bets are off, because that's been the way it's been for ever since I've been on this committee. And we're going down that slippery slope, and from now on, if this happens, anybody that wants to hold a bill, you may not get to hold the bill. That's all I can say.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Yes, Senator Reed.
So, I mean, if we're going to vote on whether to take the hold, we can do that. I mean, I would be happy to discuss the bill for a little while, if we'd like to, because I think there's a couple of issues. Speaking back to my comments, and this is all new for me. I know this excuse is only going to work for like another week, okay? But this is all new for me, in all seriousness. And I've been doing some studying on this. I voted for the bill, in 2018 that I think it was that outlawed puppy mills, or maybe it was last year. It kind of runs together. What we've done though with that puppy mill bill is we took away. Now, if we get rid of these pet stores that are meeting by appointment, that's fine if we want to do that. Honestly, I mean, if that's the intention of the body, I'm not necessarily going to. I think that debate has passed, so that's already happened. It sounds like. But what you're doing in the law, we no longer have a definition of what a good breeder is. So if my constituents are going to try to go find a dog,
spend our time now arguing back and forth about the bill. We are
Well, we're about to vote the bill, aren't we?
If we are ready to vote, or if we're going to hold the bill.
all right. Well,
I
I'll
do
wait. I'll
agree.
wait till we vote for whether to hold the bill, and then we can talk about the bill.
All right. Well, since there's so much contention, would all members who are willing to hold the bill for 1 week raise your hand?
I'd like a roll call on the vote.
Well, you say what?
I'd like a roll call on the vote.
On which thing?
The hold. If you're going to vote a hold, if we're going to have to vote on a hold, then I'd ask for a roll call on that.
It's not even February yet. You can't hold this for a week?
We're going to be back here Tuesday.
I'll offer my amendments next week, and that's it. I'm not trying to delay it.
For the record,
Let me ask the sponsor. I think it does feel strongly because of the history of the bill and because it passed out of here unanimously last year and got lost because we had the aborted session and we left early. Would you be willing, if we were going to behave ourselves, to let it be held for 1 week?
Madam Chair, first of all, I'll offer the following. I have asked to have bills held, but because of the timing and the need to move on the bills, they were not in fact held. So I get this notion that somehow there is this, rule that nobody dares ever challenge. This is just the way it has always been and will always be. But I will share with the committee that I find it terribly insulting that after 12 months, having accommodated everything that was asked of me last session on this bill, that sitting down at this moment to vote, now somebody comes up and says, I've got some amendments that I need another week to turn it into a task force. The bill was out for 12 months. And you had every opportunity to approach me and say, listen, Senator Kramer, I would like to maybe do the following, but that didn't happen. So basically, all of my accommodations last session to get the bill in a posture where you voted for it, Senator, suddenly is meaningless. and you show up at this point, at this time, right here, right now, and say, I want to hold it for a week. That's disrespectful, it's insulting. Madam Chair, I will acquiesce to the bill being held until voting session next Tuesday.
Okay, we appreciate under the circumstances. All right.
And his accusations.
Can we move? Can
No.
We, all right.
He's just made these
acquiesced,
accusations against me about
and so-
insulting him and how hurt he
We
is.
do-
It's
we
the
are holding
legislative
up everybody's
process, Senator.
bills.
Yes,
Right.
this was passed last year. And I have been working. I had questions. That's why I have a bill that I did put in.
Out of turn, Senator.
Since
Jesus
what
Christ.
we've asked for, he's agreeing to it, and we got it on hold for a week, and so let's move to the other bill. Well, come on, we're not going to have this as our beginning, guys. Okay. Well, people have a right to express how they feel. Come on. No. All right. Let's move on to the next bill.
Okay, Senate Bill 111 is another bill that was in the committee last year, passed the Senate, and didn't make it all the way through the body. It provides an individual can't provide dialysis services at a healthcare facility unless that person is trained to provide the dialysis services. You should have an amendment in front of you that was suggested by the Maryland Healthcare Commission. The bill moves the amendment moves this bill from Title 19 to Title 20 because where it was originally drafted was the purview of the Healthcare Commission. It's not really their thing, so it's under Title 20, which would be miscellaneous healthcare programs.
So the bill is here really for, the amendment is here really for technical reasons. To put it
I would call it a technical amendment. There's nothing here that changes any of the substance of the bill or changes any substance of what you passed last year.
Favorable on the bill.
The amendment.
Okay, could we get a second? Yeah. Okay. Now, all right, so on the bill as amended?
Well, you got to take the amendment up first.
Okay, all right, okay. Let's, if it's okay, in the interest of time, I'll ask for a hand raise if you're favorable to the amendment. Okay, yeah, any negatives? Hand raise? Okay, well, the amendment passes.
Take the bill as amended.
All right, can we get a motion?
Bill as amended.
Okay. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Any opposed? Okay, so that the bill passes as amended.
If you turn your page, on the second page of your voting list, the last two bills, Senate Bill 282. This was also a bill that came out, a very similar bill came out of committee last year and passed the Senate unanimously. The bill is a consensus bill between manufacturers, higher education, labs, et cetera, and it says that starting in 2022, you can no longer sell cosmetics that are tested on animals, and starting immediately when if the bill becomes enacted, there will be no more testing in Maryland on animals. There's a series of exemptions and exceptions, which is the result of the consensus. There aren't any amendments offered to this bill. And that's what the bill does.
Okay,
Madam
can
Chair,
we get,
move the bill, move the bill.
okay, we got a
favorable.
motion, can we get a second? Second. Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Senator Hershey?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Did we hear if this affected any Maryland businesses? I mean, are any Maryland businesses currently doing this that we would be then restricting that from happening?
They are affected by the bill. If you go through all the exemptions, apparently that's what brought a lot of people on board, so there was no opposition to the bill. And the exemptions start on page 2 of the bill and go through to the basically next couple pages. So any Maryland business that possibly could be still doing this would be covered by these exemptions. And higher ed came in too with a bunch of suggestions because there's still testing going on animals, but this is by cosmetics. So I don't believe, based on the testimony of what was submitted and what happened last year, that there's anybody affected by this bill in Maryland.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
I'll renew the motion favorable.
can we get a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, any opposed, raise your hand. Okay, the bill passes.
Okay, and the last bill on the list, and the last bill that has my name near it, is Senate Bill 307. This again was a bill that was passed last session by the Senate unanimously, but it didn't quite make it through the whole body because of you know why. It's a grant-funded training program in the Maryland Department of Labor that would provide grants to programs that train direct care workers who work in institutions or work privately for individuals who need help. It's a mandated appropriation of $250,000, so therefore it is jointly assigned with budget and tax. And if you all know that we received guidance from the President's office that anything over $100,000 would have to go to budget and tax for their consideration, but anything over $250,000 definitely would go to B&T for their consideration. So this bill would have to go there. But this is a very similar program to already in law for EARN, but this focuses on direct care workers and provides grants to folks who train these folks to help Maryland's in need.
Yeah, okay, we got
All right, we got a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, Senator Bidle. All right. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, who's next?
Up next, we have Senate Bill 65. Senate Bill 65 alters the definition of qualifying biomass to exclude black liquor from the RPS. With you is a reprint of the bill that reflects an amendment which specifically excludes black liquor or any product derived from black liquor from the definition of qualifying biomass. This amendment addresses concerns that were raised by MEA, DNR, and certain forest industry associations.
Do we have a motion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please.
adopt the amendment first.
Okay, okay. Yeah, all right. Let's move on the amendment. Okay, all in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand. Okay, that passes. All in favor of the bill as amended, please. Yes, Senator.
So
Dennis.
this is a contentious bill. We know there's going to be amendments offered on the floor to deal with other tiers or other parts of this tier. And I think this committee's always kind of stuck by that, no, we'll deal with those on a separate basis. Are we going to try to keep to that this year as they offer other amendments?
Yeah, we would like to. Thank you. Okay. Did we vote? Senator Hershey.
Madam Chair, I'm going to vote against the bill, and I appreciate the amendment, but just in the same issue that I have talked about a number of times in here, that we keep reducing the number of qualifying sources for the RPS, yet we continue to increase the demand that has to go out there. So we have a limited number of generating sources that can provide the RECs for the RPS, which is going to drive the cost of energy up. And obviously, driving the cost of energy up is going to make electric bills more expensive. Less people will be able to pay their bills. And we go into this continual spiral of picking and choosing which of these resources should be in the RPS and which of them shouldn't be. There's been over, according to the 2019 report that just came out, black liquor was responsible for 23% of the total RECs that have been retired. So that void, if we pass this legislation, will now have to get filled by some other types of sources. Now, again, limiting the number of supplies, and we increase the demand is going to drive up the REC costs. So I appreciate the amendment again, but I just think that we're going in the wrong direction and continually reducing the types of sources that are eligible and driving up the demand for rec. So I'm going to vote against
If I
this.
could respond before we vote, the recs right now that we're paying for are all out of state. We're not paying for anything that we're getting in Maryland, given that Luke Mill closed. So literally, our ratepayers are all paying for what's going to 4 other states, and we're getting nothing at all in Maryland.
I couldn't agree with you more on that, but I think we have to look at all the sources as well, too. In fact, the top 3 states outside of Maryland, Virginia had $21 million of Maryland ratepayer money, Illinois, $20 million of ratepayer money, Pennsylvania, $8.6 million of Maryland ratepayer money. So it is not just black liquor. In fact, Illinois was almost all wind. So it's just, again, the type of sources that are out there. We don't seem to have a problem sending $20 million to Illinois for wind projects, but we don't like sending a certain amount of money to Virginia for black liquor projects. So I agree. I'd much rather see an RPS that focused on in-state, where we reduce the numbers and we make sure that Maryland ratepayer money stays in-state, but that's not the RPS that we have right now.
Okay, Senator Feldman.
Can I just go back to Senator Jennings' point? So first of all, I guess this is for Nate. So does we're talking about Senator Huff and his amendments to waste energy, which he may or may not offer on this bill as a vehicle to deal with that. Does he this year, last year he had his own standalone bill, and the argument there might have been, we have a standalone bill in the committee, let's deal with that. Does he have a bill, to your knowledge, this year, standalone on waste energy?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Well, I just want some clarity here. I mean, JB made this point, and I don't recall, quite like you recall, that last year when he did offer an amendment, I don't believe there was some, I think people did their own thing. In fact, I was a floor leader, and I think I said everybody can kind of vote however they want to vote. We didn't have a committee position on it, and the amendment went on there 2 straight years. So I just want to be clear, I don't recall us having this understanding that we're going to resist amendments on the floor, specifically that one, unless everybody else has a different recollection of how things transpired on the floor last year. I don't remember that. Okay, well, I just want there to have a discussion at least about this before we go out there.
We had a bill on the floor last year in the truncated session. I think we had this conversation and basically had agreed that we were not going to bring an RPS bill out that dealt with the eligible sources, which is why we're seeing a lot of these bills back again this year, because we didn't deal with that. The year prior is
Okay, maybe
the one,
I'm mixing up from 2 years ago. Right.
But again, to Senator Jennings' point, we had the conversation in the committee room on what the committee's position, either formally or informally, but at least it was discussed what the committee's position would be in accepting other amendments to, in a sense, any RPS bill that could deal with the qualifying sources for that. Again, I think it's a call by the leadership on what you guys would like to do, but I know a number of us, if a waste to energy bill was in here on its own, I don't think it would get out of committee. I don't think it has the votes for the people that understand the RPS and deal with it on a day in and day out, perspective. I don't think that there would be 6 votes to get that out. So I think that does say something as far as the position that the committee leadership might take.
I think what we've said is that is a standalone issue, and there should be a standalone bill. But I don't remember 2 years ago that we had a quote position as a committee. Individual members, had their own views, and obviously, so okay. So, Madam Chair, I wanted to just get this out here for some discussion before we just kind of move forward here.
My recollection, it wasn't like we voted on it or anything, but we had a discussion about it, and we all understood that when he puts that bill on the floor, or that amendment on the floor, it's going to pass. Because, first of all, he's articulate, and he articulates it quite well. And second of all, you hear that, and everybody goes nuts. We don't want that smoke in the air. Let me just say, it'll pass, the amendment will pass, and I don't want it to pass. So that's all I can say. but we didn't vote on it, but we had a discussion just like we're having right now.
Okay, well, whatever. Okay. Yes.
But just if this is the discussion and we're having the discussion, I mean, I'm not ready to, I'm going to vote my conscience on things on the floor. So I understand I'm new here and I understand that there are a lot of in-depth issues surrounding the RPS. Maybe we don't need to even move this bill. But at the same time, I've had what I think is a pretty educated position for 10 years voting on that issue. So I'm just going to say, I mean, I'm not going to do anything to like embarrass anybody or try to offer amendment myself or whatever, but I'm not committing to how I'm going to vote. I think I think every senator has the ability to make their own educated decision about what they want to do. So I think we should always respect each other and respect the committee process, but at the same time, some people have, including myself, have a record on this for several years, so I have to think about that as well.
Okay, is there a motion to do anything at all with this bill?
There was a favorable and a second.
Okay, all right, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right, what is that? 2, 3, 4. All opposed? Okay, all right, the bill passes in a weakened condition. Okay. All right, what do we have next?
The next bill is Senate Bill 164, which requires MDH to include mental health first aid among the behavioral health services for which the department provides service coordination for eligible veterans. This bill passed the Senate unanimously last year.
All right, Tammy. Yeah, I think 164. Okay. All right, do we have a second?
I'm sorry, who was first?
Benson and Hayes. Okay. All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right, is there any opposed? Okay, that passes.
Next bill is Senate Bill 219. This is a departmental bill that expands the Maryland Money Transmission Act by, among other things, updating the definition of money transmission to encompass things like cryptocurrencies and prepaid access cards. The bill also incorporates applicable federal definitions to align Maryland law with federal law, updates money transmitter reporting requirements, and requires the use of the nationwide multi-state licensing system and registry. This bill is substantially similar to one which passed the Senate unanimously last year, and there was no opposition.
Okay, do we have a second? Senator Hayes, all right. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, is that everybody? Okay, if there are any opposition, raise your hand. Okay, the bill passes.
Senate Bill 256 is a departmental bill that alters the definition of artistic work and arts and entertainment enterprise for purposes of the Arts and Entertainment District program and related tax incentives. The changes update the terminology used to define an artistic work and clarify the activities of an arts and entertainment enterprise. There was no opposition.
Yes, Senator Augustine?
Yeah, I would like to be added as a sponsor.
Okay, Senator Augustine wants to be added as a sponsor.
Got it.
Okay, Senator Hayes? Senator Hayes wants to be on the bill also. All right, and Senator, would everybody like to be on this bill? It's a good bill. All right, well, you can put me on it too. Okay, the bill passed, and with some additional sponsors. All right, did we? What was the vote? Let's get our hands up on it.
Okay. Senator Benson, you're voting?
Okay. 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 What's next?
So the next bill is Senate Bill 103, Senate Bill 120. This is a Maryland Insurance Administration departmental bill that would adopt into Maryland law revisions to the NAIC credit for reinsurance model law. Specifically, the bill gives MIA the authority to adopt the NAIC term and universal life insurance reserve financing model regulation, which is an accreditation requirement by the NAIC for the state's continued accredited status. This regulation establishes uniform national standards governing reserve financing arrangements pertaining to term and universal life insurance policies with secondary guarantees.
Okay. Could we get a motion?
Favorable.
All right, and Senator Battle is seconding. Okay. All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, it looks like it's unanimous. Thank you. That passes.
The next bill is Senate Bill 170. This is a Maryland Department of Transportation departmental bill. This bill relates to issues with tampering and theft of transportation-related property. You'll see that there is a reprint that shows some amendments. There were some provisions that would have established holding requirements on junk dealers and scrap metal processors. The Department of Transportation has requested this amendment to remove those provisions from the bill after discussions. What the bill does is it prohibits a person from willfully altering, disconnecting, tampering with, removing, or otherwise interfering with the transported related component for electrical current transmission and storage or an intelligent transportation system. These terms are defined in the bill to include a host of components such as batteries, transformers, wireless communications devices connected to a traffic control device, fiber optic cables, and other components. The penalty for a violation for first offense is imprisonment up to 6 months or a fine not exceeding $1,500 or both, and for a second or subsequent offense, imprisonment not exceeding 18 months or a fine not exceeding $5,000 or both.
Okay, is there Senator Battle?
Thank you. I don't know about everyone else, but this is a huge issue in my district. I have one major intersection where the lights are stolen every couple of weeks, the copper, every couple of weeks. It was already in the law that there could be penalties for the theft of copper. So what does this bill really do that gives us better enforcement? If it takes away the 30-day holding period for the companies, the recycling companies, what else does the bill really do?
Well, I think it's broader. It's broader than just copper wire. So there are a variety of components that are subject to theft. I mean, if you go and look on page 6 of 8 of the bill, you can see there are a number of things that that are subject to the bill's requirements. The prohibition on tampering, removing, or otherwise interfering with the transportation-owned component. So I think that they identify that there were a variety of things that were being stolen and tampered with that were affecting these devices.
But the number one issue is the copper, and if they aren't required to hold the copper in time for the state to find out who submitted the copper, then I think we're really watering down the bill. And that amendment came from MDOT?
Correct.
I don't want to support the amendment.
Yes.
So I have two thoughts on two separate issues. I guess the issue the amendment's about is I like that we're not, I was concerned when I first saw the bill that the way I read the bill is that it was going to make these junk dealers and scrappers hold any kind of a long list of things, whether it, obviously, if somebody shows up with a manhole cover, the scrappers should probably ask some questions. They already have to file reports, though, with the police. With all of our like, your pawn shops and junk dealers have reports they already have to file with the police regularly on the scrap metal that they get. So I was concerned about it encumbering these business owners and people who, so I like the amendment. I do understand, your question. The other question I have is on the criminal penalties, and this is not what the amendment deals with, but it may help us a little bit. This is a misdemeanor. Are we creating like a new misdemeanor? Or is this making them subject to theft laws even though the value isn't up to a certain amount? You understand what I mean?
It doesn't characterize the penalty provision, the offense as a misdemeanor or felony, but the maximum penalty is 6 months in prison or a fine up to $1,500 or both
I guess okay.
for a first offense.
I guess because to be a felony theft, it has to exceed a certain value usually, and I was wondering if we were trying to get at it by saying this stuff has more value than. It sounds like we're not. It's fine. Cancel that question. But I support the amendment. I do understand the concern, but I do think these junk dealers already have to file a lot of reports with the authorities anyway.
Okay, well, do we have a motion?
I'll move the amendment.
Okay. All right, we've got a motion and a second on the amendment. If you're for the amendment, please raise your hand. Just do it.
Madam Chair, since we're actually, Senator Bidles brought up an issue. Honestly, this was a department bill. There was no. Can we? I would think, as a matter of some caution here, I think since we're already holding a bill till Tuesday, I'd like to actually learn a little bit more about from Senator Bidle in particular before we kind of move forward. So I'd ask to hold this till Tuesday so we can. I'm interested now in this issue.
All right. So, yes, Senator Kramer.
And just real fast, Madam Chair, I don't know whether Senator Bidle recalls, but at the bill hearing, I asked the department about this amendment and said, does it not defeat the purpose to a large degree if you take out the 30-day hold? And they indicated that it appeared to be part of trying to make the bill I think, get less opposition to the bill. So I'm with Senator Bidle. I would not support the amendment, but since it's being held, that's fine anyway.
Okay, so we'll
Thank
hold
you.
this bill for a week and we'll learn more. Okay? Okay, where are we now? It's on hold.
Just another bill that's being withdrawn, a request to be withdrawn is Senate Bill 512, which is the Commercial Law Professional Athlete Funding Act, Senator Feldman's bill.
And a second one, Patrick, and 255, on the last one on your list.
Okay, well, anyway, it's a bill. There's a legal issue came up from the Attorney General's office, so I'm withdrawing the bill. We can't really resolve it. So,
Okay.
But
All right. Well,
One additional bill on the list that's being withdrawn is Senate Bill 255, Commercial Law Maryland Credit Services Business Act revisions.
okay.
you want to just move unfavorable of both bills, or those two
Yeah,
withdrawn bills?
why don't we
so
move
we'll
unfavorable on the
withdrawn
two bills being withdrawn? Yes, Senator Hayes.
What's the number? It's not on the list. It's not on the
Yeah,
list.
I know.
It's not on the list. I just submitted the letter withdraw just now, so.
512.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, before we. Sure. Okay, I want to get back. Can we just come back? Madam Chair, this was your bill, the black liquor bill, because of Senator Reedy's comments. I just, again, if an amendment to the extent similar to Senator Huff or any other amendment, it's your bill, what is the position of the committee on any amendment to your bill going to be? So we had Senator Jennings articulating one position. Senator Reedy made the point about, that everybody should do their thing, whatever that may be. So I don't want us to leave here with that loose end, without some clarity again, Madam Chair, this is your bill, so I'd be interested in your thoughts.
Okay, colleagues, you want to weigh in on this issue? It would be helpful for us to go to the floor and to know where we are. Yes, Senator Jones.
I think, I always question when somebody offers an amendment and the floor leader stands there and says, we'll accept this as a friendly amendment, are they speaking on behalf of the committee or themselves as the floor leader? And I think that's what we kind of need to determine on this bill, that whoever the floor leader is, when that amendment's offered, are they going to accept it as a friendly amendment per committee or unfriendly based?
Can I just say, my recollection of 2 years ago, I was the floor leader, and I think I said at that time, because I'm aware of the environmental groups, and they may use these as for scorecard, all that kind of, and we didn't have a position. We had another standalone bill, and I think I said the committee did not have a position, and everybody could vote however they wanted to vote. But that's my recollection of 2 years ago. But now we're here. We can do whatever the committee thinks is appropriate.
Okay, Senator Hayes.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I do remember the conversation, but I'm a little fuzzy on the years in which these conversations have happened because we've had these bills so much. But from what I understood from the conversation, that pretty much the majority of the committee. Now, obviously, I respect, and I think Senator Reed is right, could vote on whichever way you want as an individual senator. But as far as the position of the committee, if we're supporting a bill and there's an amendment that hasn't been presented to this committee, and we haven't taken a firm vote, why would we then on the floor go ahead and accept it as a friendly amendment or otherwise? I would think that we would.
Just to be clear, I wasn't saying you take it as, I'm saying that you could say we resist the amendment because it wasn't, this is a stand, you either say we resist or you say we have no position. I'm not suggesting we would ever accept it as friendly. That would be inappropriate. But there are two other options for the committee floor leader to take, which is vote however you want, or we resist it because this should be a standalone bill in front of the Finance Committee, and this is a process problem, to get an end around the committee for the reasons I think Senator Hershey mentioned. If you don't think you can get it through the committee, you just offer amendments on the floor. It would be those two options, not the
no, I got you.
Accept as friendly.
And given that scenario, I would say that it would make sense for the floor leader to resist it because they have effectively, like you said, averted the process. They've gone around to a floor amendment, not giving the committee an opportunity to hear it.
Again, that's one option. I'm saying that, that's.
Well, what is your position? We'd like on the floor, whoever's the floor leader to.
Madam Chair, I appreciate this, and I appreciate the discussion. At the same time, we have a number of bills that affect the RPS, not only the sources that can be eligible, but we have some with reporting requirements and some carve-outs that are there as well, too. So this question will come up, if it's defeated, the community that would like to see waste to energy removed is going to amp up the pressure more and more to get people to sway over to that side and take out a valuable resource that we have in not only eliminating trash, but also in generating electricity for the city of Baltimore and for Montgomery County. So it might be a broader strategy of do we look at a number of these RPS bills and possibly combine them all into one and only bring one bill out to the floor at a certain time. I mean, we're still very early in session. Senator Kramer said we might not get through 90 days. I don't think anybody knows. If everybody's getting vaccines, I think the opportunity we get through the 90 days is probably more likely. But I think we're going to have this conversation every time we look at an RPS bill. And again, the pressure will continue to mount if that amendment fails on the floor the first time. It will be offered over and over again, and putting us all in very difficult positions to have to vote.
Okay, Senator Augustine.
Thank you. Do we, if someone does that, is there the option to have it sent back to our committee so that then we can, take a position on it?
I guess.
think that that would be the appropriate, that's my thought, that would be the appropriate response. If you're asking an opinion of what my thought would be, that would be my thought.
Well, I think the courteous thing to do if you had a bill, if you had an amendment and you knew the bill was coming to the floor, would be to offer whatever you had to the committee. However, we can't make people, they've got autonomy.
Evidently, courtesy's not an issue now, Madam Chair.
Okay, Senator Reedy.
But two things. Number one, I guess I'm used to different things because I was on a committee before where we'd bring a carefully balanced bill out to the floor, we felt, and then people would offer, sometimes from the left, sometimes from the right, offer amendments that, were definitely against it, and members of the committee would typically vote their conscience. The other thing I'd say is I agree about if you're a member of the committee, I think you should offer amendments in the committee. You shouldn't sandbag your colleagues on the floor with an amendment. I totally agree with that, so.
Actually, okay, I'll just say, I actually like Senator Augustine's point. Maybe, particularly this issue, maybe not true of all, this might be one where we say, we'll take this amendment back to the committee to establish a position, a formal position of the committee, but until, that might be a reasonable option. So, and we don't know if there's an amendment that's even going to be offered, so maybe we shouldn't get too far ahead of all this, but.
Okay. Senator Hayes.
Madam Chair, I agree with the chair and definitely Senator Augustine. I think he brought up a good point. And I know of a situation that I'm in right now similar to this. And so, in thinking through it and looking at that option, I think that's the best option, giving the committee the opportunity to truly vet it, debate it, or whatever. A lot of times there may be bills in other committees you might not. Now, I'm not naive to think that the senator that would be bringing this bill or others don't know that we're, going over this bill. But there are situations where activity is happening in other committees that you may not be aware of, and you do need that flexibility to bring it up on the floor. So I think that would be, I definitely agree that would be the appropriate course of action to take.
Thank you. I will just, as sponsor, say one other thing. As you recall, we had the bill last year, and because at that time there were out-of-state entities looking perhaps to purchase Luke Mill, we had labor resisting. Those jobs have been gone now for years. Nobody has bought Luke Mill, so all we're doing is paying for RECs out of state. And why should our ratepayers go on for maybe years ad infinitum paying for RECs from out of state that provide nothing at all of value to Maryland? Okay, so that. Okay, I appreciate your feedback, and if somebody puts something on the floor, I hope you won't be shocked if we ask to have it referred to the committee so the committee could take a look at it.